What's up YouTube, it's your boy Nash here, welcome back to the channel, and today I have an updated Arcana Knight deck profile for you guys today. So, it's not as different as the last build, but I did take a few cards out. I put in a few additions in, especially into the extra deck and to the side deck, and I made it so it was a little more consistent, a little more powerful. Excuse me, but more of a control style at best. And if you guys are wondering why I'm filming this, why I'm not filming this on a Saturday, which will be when you guys are seeing this. At the time that I'm recording this video, it's actually Friday the 18th, and it's 3 p.m. right now. It's actually 3 in the afternoon, and tomorrow morning I'm actually going to be helping my mom with more of her bullshit that is her own personal belongings, if you will. So yeah, I'm gonna be doing that tomorrow. So that's why I had to film this today on Friday, and then I'll be posting it Saturday morning. Tomorrow will be when you guys see this. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this deck profile. If you guys do enjoy it and you guys want to see more deck profiles in the future, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, give this video a thumbs up, and make sure you guys are following me on Twitter and on Instagram. The links are in the description below, and if you guys want to send fan mail, the info will also be in the description as well. Let's get straight into it. Obviously you have to run 2 copies of all 3 knights. So you got 2 Queen's Knight, 2 King's Knight, 2 Jack's Knight. Obviously these are the main main pieces that you need for cards like Joker Straight and your Arcana extra Joker that's in both that's actually in this deck, which is obviously important. But what's even more cool about this is that there's actually a card in this in the extra deck that is actually a super poly target if you're going up against the correct deck, which I'll explain, excuse me, here in a little bit. Then of course we've got the 2 copies of Arcana Triumph Joker. This card is actually not too bad. It's basically an Omni board wipe. So what this card does is if it's in your hand or in your graveyard, you can send one of all 3 knights, Queen's Knight, King's Knight, Jack's Knight, from your hand or face up field directly to your graveyard, and you get to summon this card. This card acts as sort of like a slifer for the deck, so it gains attack based on how many cards you have in your hand, but it also counts for your opponent's hand as well. So it gains 500 attack for each card that both you have and your opponent has in their hand, which is very, very crucial. But you're mainly going to be keeping this in defense because this card acts as a Omni board wipe. So obviously, so what's cool about this is that the last line of texts, the last effect reads: you can discard 1 card, destroy all face-up cards your opponent controls with the same type as the discarded card, monster, spell, or trap. And truth be told, I did a little research on this. I don't think this is a hard once per turn, because you can actually, I believe it is a once per turn. But what's cool about this is that you can send one of all 3 card types to the graveyard, and their whole board is gone, which is just absolutely incredible. If you're able to stick this on, if you're able to stick the Triumph Joker on board in defense and keep using its effect, you essentially are gonna have game right off the bat, which is absolutely insane. Then of course we have the 3 copies of Joker's Knight. This card is basically your Cyber Dragon for the deck. So here's its effect. You can send one Queen's Knight, King's Knight, or Jack's Knight from your deck to the grave, special summon this card from your hand. And if you do, this card's name becomes the sent monster's name until the end phase. During the end phase, if this card is in your grave, you can target one of the light warrior in your grave, shuffle it into the deck, and add this card to your hand. You can only use each effect once per turn. So not only is this a Cyber Dragon, but what's cool about this is that it becomes whatever card you sent, whatever monster you sent to the grave. This card becomes that sent monster's name, which would be perfect. If you combo it off with your face card fusion to go into your Arcana Knight Joker as well. So if you send Queen's Knight to your graveyard to summon this card, it becomes that card. It becomes Queen's Knight, and if you summon King's Knight, if you normal summon King's Knight, you're able to just automatically summon Jack's Knight right off the bat, activate face card fusion, and go into your Knight Joker right off the bat. In which case during your end phase, you can send Queen's Knight back into your deck and add Joker's Knight back to your hand, which that's a pretty cool combo. That's a pretty cool play, if I say so myself. And plus also, if you were to run any like rank 5 exceeds, this card could be perfect for a rank 5 play if need be. And then to round out the monsters, we have next up 2 copies of Imperial Bower. I cut this down to two because I needed some room for the some of the additions that I put into the main, but it's still pretty powerful at 2. So its effect reads: if you control no other monsters, you contribute this card. Take 2 different monsters from your deck among Queen's Knight, King's Knight, and/or Jack's Knight, and either add them to your hand or special summon each one. You can only use this effect once per turn. Obviously, you're going to be special summoning them to go into your Assault plays, your Nightmare Phoenix plays, your Cerberus plays, whatever you want to go into, or you can even also go into your rank 4 plays, which I do have a couple of rank 4s in the extra deck, which I will get to later on in the video, the extra deck is just nutty. And then next up, next up we actually have Rose, Warrior of Revenge. This was actually I believe a Crossroads of Chaos card, which is a pretty insane. So the effect is irrelevant, but if your opponent has no monsters on board, then it's not too bad. So the effect reads: when this card inflicts battle damage to your opponent, inflict 300 damage to your opponent. Obviously, yes, 1900 damage to your opponent, that's not too bad, but you're mainly using Rose as fodder for your synchro plays or your exceeds plays, depending on which one you want to go into. If you want to stick with the synchro play, then you can easily go into Cypher Lord Omega right off the bat. Or if you want to go into your rank 4 plays, then spoiler, Time Thief Redoer will be your best bet. And then to round out the monsters, we got the 1 Infernal Knight Renaud, the 1 Fire Flint Lady, and then the 2 Ash Blossom. Renaud is not too bad, not too bad of a card. Obviously, it does get treated as a tuner when it's special summon, but the Fire Flint Lady and then the Renaud are only there as fodder for your link plays, mostly for the link plays. But if you're able to stick one of them, Rose, and also your Joker's Knight, you can easily go into a level 10 synchro, which I am running a level 10 synchro, but it's actually in the side deck, which I'll get to that here in a little bit. And then Ash Blossom is just Ash Blossom. For these spells, we have 14 spells in the main deck. We have the one face card fusion, which is basically your polymerization for your Arcana Knight Joker. We got the 1 reinforcement of the army. I am not going to explain what the card does. We all know what it does. We got the Monster Reborn mainly to resurrect the Type 3 Redoer if it has no materials on it. So yeah, so that's pretty much it. We got the Harpy's Feather Duster as a bit of a, basically one of the new cards that I decided to add into this deck, because obviously Harpy's Feather Duster is going to be such a problematic card for pretty much any deck that this deck faces. So Feather Duster will come in clutch quickly. And then of course we got the one Called by the Grave. Obviously you want your plays to go through. Then of course we got the Joker's Straight. This card basically just gives you Queen's Knight, King's Knight, and Jack's Knight all in a singular turn, allowing you to go into your Link 3 plays, which there are only 3 in this deck, which I'll get to that once we get to the action. But this card also has an effect similar to Joker's Knight, where you can take one of your light warrior monsters, put it back into the deck, and add this card to your hand. This will give you fodder for your Arcana Triumph Joker as well. So you can send the Joker's Knight, Joker's Straight, and then the Joker's Wild all to your graveyard to pop each monster, and then take your light warriors, put them back into your main deck, and add them back to your hand, so you can trigger Triumph Joker's effect over and over again, which is just absolutely insane. Then of course we have 2 copies of Super Polymerization. You guys are wondering why? Why run 2 copies of Super Poly? Well, once we get into the extra deck, you guys will understand why. But Super Poly, still a broken card. I don't know why this card was banned back in the day, but yeah. It's just an absolute house. Then of course we have the 2 copies of Thunder Speed Summon. I may end up cutting this to 1 only because of the fact that you're gonna be summoning Arcana Triumph Joker, just under normal circumstances. So I think I will do that. I will cut the summon spell to 1 only because of that, because you're going to be summoning Arcana Triumph Joker under normal circumstances if you have this card in your hand, as well as Joker Straight. If you have these 2 cards in hand, you essentially just win the duel easily. So I know that some people are probably going to roast me in the comments, say, oh, this card's better at 3. Yes, it is, but only if you run these 2 and Slifer, which in this deck I don't run Slifer. I chose not to, because Slifer is pretty much a brick in this deck, in my personal opinion. And then to round out the spells, we have 2 copies of Infernal Arms Durandal. This card is basically your Rhoda to go into your Rose Warrior of Revenge, your Renaud, or your Fire Flintley, which are all warrior, which is pretty crazy. So it basically acts as a Strauss for the deck. And now moving on into the traps. First up, we have the Joker's Wild. We have 3 copies of Joker's Wild. This card basically can easily become a face card fusion, or even also a Joker Straight if you want it, which is really good. And it has the same effect as the Joker's Knight, where you can take a light warrior in your grave, put it back into your deck. This card gets added to your hand, which is nuts. We got the 1 Waken the Dragon as a target for the Access Code Talker. If you don't have enough materials on board to summon Access Code, then Waken the Dragon can just easily help bring it out once it's destroyed by your opponent's back row. And then to round out the traps, we got the 2 DNA Surgery, and then the 2 Solemn Warning. So DNA Surgery is in this deck mainly because of the fact that you're going to be going. Sorry guys, the reason why I've got the 2 copies of DNA Surgery is because you're going to be going up against decks that have that have multiple types. And if you want to go into one of your fusions that is a super poly target, then DNA surgery will come in clutch really quickly, especially if your opponent has an attribute that's different from light or fire. DNA surgery will come in clutch really quickly. And then the Solemn Warning is just a negation, not much else to say about that. That rounds out the main deck for the extra deck. I'm actually going to go from Links to Fusion, because I want you guys to be surprised by what the Fusion lineup looks like. So for the Links, we have 2 copies of A Soul, 2 Tales of the Noble Knights. This card basically acts as a Rhoda as a Stratos for the whole deck. You get to search a warrior from your from your deck to your hand. Not much else to say about that. We've got the Nightmare package. We got the Cerberus, Phoenix, and Unicorn. Cerberus focuses on popping card monsters that were special summoned. Phoenix focuses on the back row, and then Unicorn just compulses cards back into the deck. So it acts as like a sort of like a lose one turn of sorts, which is pretty nuts. We got the Decode Talker for even further negation, which is pretty cool. We got the Arcana Extra Joker as sort of like a protection for the whole deck itself. So its effect reads: once per turn, when a spell or trap or monster effect is activated that targets this face-up card on the field, or a monster this card points to as a quick effect, you can discard the same type of card, negate the activation. When this Link Summon card is destroyed by a battle and sent to the grave, you can special summon a level 4 normal warrior from your deck, and if you do, add a level 4 warrior from your deck to your hand. So not only is this a free summon from the deck, but it also gives you a free card directly to your hand from your deck, which is really insane. Of course, we got the Access Code target as the Waking the Dragon target, but you can also use it to go into your Cypher Lord Omega as well, if need be, or your fusions if you were feeling really risky, if you will. And then for the Exceeds, we got 2 copies of Time Thief Redoer. Obviously, it gains materials during each standby phase, both yours and your opponent's. So what do you do when it has enough materials? Go into Zeus. Plain and simple. Go into Zeus, bye their board. Plain and simple. Not much else to say about that. And then of course we got the Cypher Lord Omega. This card is really good because if you banish cards, this card can just easily bring them back into your graveyard, so you can use them over and over again. This card is just a house. And then for the fusions, we've got obviously we have the face card fusion target, which is obviously the Arcana Knight Joker, but the super poly targets will blow your mind. So the reason why another reason why I've got the DNA surgery is this. You get to target warrior. You activate this card, target warrior, all monsters on board become warrior. Your opponent summons a monster that's a different attribute from, we'll say your Joker's Knight, let's say that. You activate Super Poly, discard one of your cards, target, you fuse Joker's Knight with one of your opponent's monsters, which attribute is different from Light, and you easily go into Guilty Gear Free, the Magical Steel Knight. But there is another target. What do you do when you have a light monster on board on your side of the field, but your opponent has Alistair the Invoker? You go into Invoked Macabre. But funny enough, Invoked Macabre is also a Waking the Dragon target as well, which is even more dangerous. If you guys thought Invoked Macabre was dangerous now, pair it off with Waking the Dragon, makes this card 10 times more dangerous than it ever was. And it's an Omni Negate. And it's basically an Omni Negate where it doesn't matter what type of card your opponent activates, monster, spell, or trap. You send that card to the grave, it gets negated. But not only that, this is mainly going up against the invoked deck. So if your opponent does normal summon, let's say Alistair, and you have, I'll say your Arcana Triumph Joker, and you know that you're not going to be able to have much attack on this card. You activate. You would go Super Poly, pitch, we'll say the Joker's Knight, fuse Alistair with Triumph Joker, boom, you instantly have invoked Makaba, which is an Omni Negate, which is just absolutely insane. Not much else to say about that. Moving on into the side, this is my preference on a side deck like this. The side deck is mainly going up against decks that are heavy on banishing, special summoning from the extra deck, and also summoning, and also just adding cards from their deck to the hand easily, just like Omni, So for decks like those, I'm running 2 copies of Artifact Scythe and 2 Artifact Lancia. I've got the 2 Ghost Bell and then the 2 Ghost Ogre, which again, pair it off with Ash Blossom, you got a pretty dangerous combo there. We got the Ascension Sky Dragon as the level 10 synchro target, which is really cool because its effect reads if this card is synchro summon, it gains 800 attack for each card currently in your hand. When this card you control is destroyed by your opponent's card and sent to your grave, if all the monsters that were used for the synchro summon of this card are in your grave, you can special summon all of them, but their effects are negated. You can only use this effect once per turn. So what's cool about this is that if all 3 are still in your grave, you can just resummon them from your graveyard, and we'll say you normal summon one of your other monsters, and you easily go into your Access Code Talker really quickly. But you can also go into cards like your Arcana Extra Joker, your Phoenix, Unicorn, pretty much anything else that you want in your extra deck, which is really good. And then for the rest of the side deck, we got 2 Shared Ride as sort of like a Max C, but it's not. So it's actually a quick play spell that reads for the rest of this turn, each time a card or cards is added from the main deck or grave to your opponent's hand, except by drawing them, you draw 1 card. You immediately draw 1 card. So it's basically Max C, but instead of special summoning, it's adding. So they're like polar opposites of one another, if you will. We have 2 copies of Mind Drain. This card, obviously, there's only maybe 1 or 2 cards that have effects in the hands. I think Joker's Knight, Ash Blossom, and then the Renod are the only ones that have effects that activate in the hands. Aside from the Bells, the Ogres, and then the Lancia. So Mind Drain will come in clutch really quickly, especially if you end up doing a bunch of drawing off of Share Ride and of course the Time Thief Redoer. Mind Drain will come in clutch really fast. And then to round out the whole deck itself, we got 2 copies of Solemn Strike. So all in all, my take on this deck, I think it looks so much better than my last build. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure you guys smash that thumbs up button if you guys are new to the channel and you guys want to see more deck profiles in the future. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you guys don't miss out on any new content that comes your way. And be sure to follow me on Twitter and on Instagram. All the links will be down in the description below. And if you guys have any family that you guys want to send me, and you guys want me to open it up on the channel, all the info will be in the description as well. And on that, this is your boy Nash, signing out.